acceptance.
What's up, guys? Alright, today we are going to talk about using lists in Python. So what we're going to do is we're going to learn a little of the basics about using lists and some of the different methods that you'll use with your lists. And then from there, we're going to move on to our source code analyzer. And we're going to basically take advantage of lists to reduce our code and make it a little bit leaner and meaner. So let's get to it. What we have here over here on the left is just a simple Python script that's creating a list and then performing some of the methods that you can use on lists. So let's not even really worry about the code. Hey guys, I just wanted to let you know real quick that I'm putting on a live Python workshop. Now in this workshop, I'm going to be teaching you how to create surveillance tools using Python. Now this workshop will not be posted to my YouTube channel, and on top of that, I'm only going to allow a limited number of people into the live workshop. So if you're a beginner or you're experienced, this workshop is for you. Now if you want to get in on this, click the link down in the description or click the link on the video above. Alright guys, let's get back to coding. And let's just run this. Okay, so what we have here is a bunch of output, and each one of these is various method being applied to our list here. So let's start the very first one, declaring an empty list. So to declare an empty list in Python, you simply declare the variable name and then declare these brackets. That's what designates a list. So when we output our list variable, you can see it outputs an empty list, and that code is reflected right here. So pretty straightforward. We're just declaring an empty list and then just printing that empty list to the screen. So now let's actually declare a list with some variables pre-populated. So this is a line of code that's being executed. We're basically declaring the values of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 to our list variable. And then when we print that to screen, you can see it prints out a list of 0 through 5. So moving on, now let's say we have a list and we want to add an additional item to the end of that list. You would use the append method. And as you can see here, we're executing two lines of code that are both adding two elements using the append method. First, we add the value 100 to our list, and then we output that to the screen, which you can see now. This was our list previously, and then after executing this line of code, we now have the value 100 that has been added to the end of the list. Next, we append the value of 101. And then we print that output, and once again you can see we have now added the value 101 to the end of our list. Pretty simple. You can also use the insert method, and the insert method allows you to insert an item into the list at a specific index. For example, the append will only add an item to the end of the list, but let's say you want to add something to the beginning of the list, or maybe at the 5th index item of the list. The insert method will allow you to do that. So here I illustrate that by adding two values at two different index positions. So let's look at this. So the first one is, first let's look at the method here. It takes two parameters. The first parameter is the index position. So this is where at, or the location in the list that you wish to add your object or your value. And in this instance, I'm passing the value 0. So what that means, it's going to add this value to the very first item in the list. So we can see our list here before we execute our insert statement. After executing this first insert statement, we can now see we have the value -1 as the first element item of our list. Okay, the next insert statement passes the value 5. So this is saying this value that I'm adding, I want to add it to the 5th position in this list. So when we print that out, we can see that we now have -1 that has been added to the 5th position of this list. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's how you can add elements at specific positions in your list. Pretty simple. So moving on, we have the remove item. And in our previous methods, we added the value -1 to 2 different positions. So let's look what happens when we run the remove method on our -1 value. So the first time we run it, we can see that the very first element has been removed. Because remember, we had a -1 there. But after running this, it removed that first -1. However, we can see that the second -1 still exists. So once we run this method once again, telling it to remove the next -1 object it finds, we can see that the -1 value no longer exists in the list. So that's how you can remove an object from the list. Next, there's the reverse method, and this is exactly what it says. You just simply run this method on your list object, and it will simply flip or reverse the elements in the list, and we can see that here. Previously, it started with 0 and incremented up to 101. However, after calling reverse and printing the output, it goes from 101 all the way down to 0. And finally, we have the sort method. And that's pretty much as it says. And as you can see, we've passed executed the sort method on our list object, printed that to the screen, and we can see our list has now been sorted to increment from 0 through 101 as it was previously. So that's lists. They're pretty easy to work with. There are other methods that you can use with lists, so I recommend looking up the Python documentation if you're interested in finding out more advanced methods on what you can do with lists. That's going to do it for this video, but tomorrow we're going to pick up with our source code analyzer, and we're going to reduce the code down. We're going to make it a little bit leaner and meaner. So that's what's going to be happening tomorrow. So if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe now. That way you get updates to future videos, and I will see you on the other side.
Login accepted.